Hello, hello. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Either way, I'm happy to have you. Hello, my name is Mimi the Pimp. It's very nice to meet you. If you're coming back here, welcome back. It's nice to have you back. If you're new here, welcome. It's nice to meet you. Today, I'm going to be sitting down and talking to you guys a little bit about my book, Salt to the Wound, which was my first novel, hopefully of at least a couple more, because I'm working on one right now. Don't tell anyone. It's just a secret because I just started. So I don't know when it'll be out. But that's just between me and you. Okay. Anyways. Yes, I did want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into Salt to the Wound because I've never done that on any of my platforms. I've really only ever released the book itself, let the reviews speak for themselves and things like that. But I figured maybe a lot of people might be interested in the book, but they don't really like to read, or, you know, whatever other reason, like they can't afford it, or whatever other reason it might be that you don't have access to this book, or you just like are kind of interested, but you don't really care that much. This video is going to be for you, okay? Because I'm going to be going over basically not the entire story. I broke the story down into 3 parts. There's part 1, 2, and 3. We're going to be going over part 1, the pool, part 3, and part 2. I'll let you guys figure that one out on your own time if you want to go check the book out. Maybe you go leave a review after or whatever. I don't know. I'm just kidding, for real. Unless you're down. We're just kind of gonna dive into it because I don't really have much of an intro planned out other than that. Part 1, the pool. I'm gonna be going basically chapter by chapter so you guys can easily follow along. So we're gonna start with chapter 1, which is called Emily's Day Off. The story starts off with Emily waking up in the morning on her day off, a little bit later than usual because she doesn't have to go to work. We learn that she lives with her best friend Jade, and her friends Lauren and Kiana are planning to come over that day. But that's not going to be till later. So Emily, the main character, the protagonist, if you will, she decides to go hang out at the pool for a little bit, you know, get her tan on or whatever. So she's getting ready in the morning. A little detail that I included in it is that I chose for Emily to be wearing a white bikini to the pool, as well as a cover-up. And honestly, everything about her outfit that day is very meticulously planned out. It says, I wore my favorite white bikini, the one I got in Mexico on a family trip. Over that, I threw on a little see-through beach dress and my beloved Prada shades. So everything about that, I know it's only 3 little details, but everything about that is meticulously planned out. The white bikini that she got on a family trip to Mexico, so that establishes a few things. One, it establishes kind of her character and how she presents herself to the world. Like, she's very comfortable with herself. For her to be wearing something a little bit more like see-through and risque, I would say, that shows a little bit of confidence in herself and the way she presents herself to the world. She's young, she's lit, especially like including the Prada shades. I wanted to include that because that, as well as mentioning how much she's paying in rent earlier in that chapter, I included those details because I wanted to be established that she's somebody that's coming from like middle class. Like, this is somebody that's very innocent, that hasn't dealt with a lot of struggles in life. Like, I wanted that to be very established early on in the novel. So you kind of have like a sense of like her purity and her innocence, and that she hasn't really been through a lot in her life. And another detail is the white bikini. Obviously, white represents purity as well. That was important for me to include because not only is white a symbol of purity, but later on in the story, when things take a dark turn, the blood is staining it, honey. Okay, it's not pure anymore. Like, that innocence is taken away. So I think like things like that, the symbolism or the imagery of it all, it adds another deeper layer of things where you can kind of just appreciate the story a little bit more, in my opinion, at least for me. After she gets dressed and everything, and we talk about like, we establish Emily, the protagonist, as a character, that's when she starts to walk over to the pool because she's planning on spending the morning at the pool. So on her way to the pool, you notice that Emily is noticing a lot of details. Like, she's noticing the smell of fresh laundry in the air. She's noticing a pink tree that she sits by and kind of like meditates for a second. So she's somebody that's also not just innocent, but like grateful for life and like grateful for that innocence, you know, and doesn't take it for granted and like takes the moment to appreciate things in the moment. And then directly after her walk to the pool, which she's happy that it's an empty pool, you know, nobody there to bother her, no kids screaming, nothing like that. You know, nobody there to bother her. She gets to the pool, she sits down, relaxes, and then this is when her first interaction with Jade happens, or her first interaction with anyone, really. Her and Jade kind of exchange some text messages, and you kind of see the way that they spell their text messages and stuff like that. It's very playful. It's meant to establish their relationship with one another as being very comfortable, but also like fun and energetic and things like that. So we do that, and then after that, she's kind of just enjoying the day. She's enjoying the day at the pool. She's tanning. She gets in the water a little bit, listens to music, and then at this point, maybe like an hour and a half has passed by since she woke up, and this is when the three boys, the antagonists, Jake, Cameron, and Kane, they enter the pool. And at first, in chapter 1, I obviously like don't dive into it. Did I mention that? My goal for chapter 1 was for it to be very light and airy. And I don't know if you guys have seen the movie It, the newer one. But in that very first like beginning of that movie, it's you wouldn't be able to tell it's a horror movie. You know what I mean? Like it's like you think it's like a kids movie about kids having a great summer or some shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the same kind of progression of the story that I was going for. Chapter 1, I wanted it to be very kind of positive, with just a slight touch of foreshadowing in the end, which I think I was able to establish, because at that point we're seeing if Jade and friends want to come to the pool or if they want to just meet at the apartment. And then with the three guys coming in, like Emily is expressing that she kind of has an uneasy feeling, but you know, there's nothing to back her suspicions, you know what I mean? Like there's no evidence that like these boys are up to anything. So she's kind of like just trying to put it to the back of her mind, you know, not think about it. And that's pretty much the end of chapter 1. Story established, protagonist established, some relationships slightly established a little bit, main characters established, okay? Chapter 2 is called The Hostage because chapter 2 is when things really start to take a turn for the worse for Emily. What happens in this chapter? At this chapter, after the boys are kind of like doing their own thing, not really minding her, she's kind of trying not to mind them. At this point in the story, you know, she's minding her business, and all of a sudden, these boys, they start walking right up to her, right? Walking right up to her. And guess what they had pointed at her head? At her fucking head. A gun, bitch. A fucking gun. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. But yeah, they pulled out a gun on her. They walked right up to her, surrounding her. Jake, the main one, he has the gun. And he's like, you're not going to scream. If you scream, I'm going to have to shoot you. Do you understand me? And she's not saying nothing. Like, she's frozen. Which turns out to be something that's good for her, because they even say right then and there, I like her. She's quiet. At this point, I don't really want to get into the details of it. It does get a bit graphic at this point. They're having their way with her. Okay, I'll just say that. Like, it's just very uncomfortable. I do really get into the details of it. If you want to see for yourself, read for yourself, you're more than welcome to purchase the book and see what happens at this point. But at the end of this chapter, Emily is just feeling extremely hopeless. She's been beaten. She's been abused like every way you could possibly think of and more. And the very last sentence, or the last paragraph, I'll read that. It says, I said a prayer in my head as more tears rushed down my face. I felt the gun lift, then a striking blow to my head, then darkness. Ooh, so we don't know if this bitch is gonna be okay. Like, they pistol whip her and she goes dark. She's just completely unconscious. So that's the end of chapter 2, and now we're moving on to chapter 3, which is called None the Wiser. I wonder why it's called that. By the way, you guys, part 1 has 4 chapters in total, as well as part 2 also has 4 chapters in total. Chapter 3 is when Emily starts to wake up out of her concussion-induced blackout head trauma, just absolutely worst day of her life, you know? She's starting to wake up and she's realizing, like, it's not a dream, like, this is actually happening. In chapter 2, I'll say she was very, very hopeless. The whole of chapter 2, she was extremely hopeless. She thought that was it, like, she's just gonna... You know, that was it. There's no getting out of it. Like, what am I going to do? It's 3 grown-ass men, like, and it's little old me. So she had given up. But in this chapter, once she wakes up out of her, I wouldn't say coma. It was only, like, I don't know, maybe an hour or a few hours. She wakes up and she kind of, like, has this moment, like, epiphany where she's realizing, you know, I have to be smarter than them. Like, I'm not going to die here. She's like, I am not going to die here. Not today. Not this way. And she kind of just makes that decision and she realizes that, like, okay, so let's think about the facts. It's 3 grown-ass men. They're stronger than me. They have weapons on me. They have been surrounded. They outnumber me, like, everything. Like, by all means, there's no possible way that she should be able to get away. But she's understanding that if she plays her cards right, she'll be able to make her way out. So at this point, she's thinking of a plan, and what she thinks is the best course of action at this point is she needs to take a risk. She needs to do something that no possible person in her position would do. She needs to either shock them, surprise them, you know, just take them off guard, confuse them, confuse the enemy. You know, she's thinking confuse the enemy. I knew I had to be smarter than them. They were stronger, faster, they had a gun, and who knows what other weapons they might have brought. I wouldn't win that way, and I knew it. I knew I had to pay attention to their words, their actions, the way they interact with one another. If I could understand them, I could maneuver and manipulate the situation to my favor. Suddenly, I was glad that they didn't want me to speak. The less I talk, the more I can listen. And the more I listen, the more I know. I had one other advantage over them, which they did not have over me: the power to seduce them. The thought alone made me sick. To willingly engage in sexual relations with my own abusers would be traumatizing, not to mention a huge risk. If they were only interested in the power they felt from overcoming someone who does not wish to be overcome, then I would only be making the situation worse by trying to seduce them. On the other hand, if I were able to use sex to emotionally manipulate them, that would give me more opportunities to escape from this nightmare. So at this point, she's taking a big risk because she's kind of trying to, like, switch roles, like reverse Uno them. At this point, she's doing some crazy ass shit. She's deciding to seduce them, but what exactly is she gonna do? How is that gonna help her? She's deciding. Oh, and I'm sorry, I think I forgot to mention this. While those boys were having their way with her, Jake, the main one that has the gun, he didn't take a turn with her, so to speak. Like, he only watched the other 2 boys do what they were doing, you know, and he never gave the gun up. Like, it's very much clear that he's the leader and the other 2 are the followers. At this point, she decides that Jake, the main one, he's going to be the one that she seduces, and she's not going to pay attention to the other 2. As time is going by, you know, she's being very quiet. She's not saying a motherfucking thing. Like, she's barely saying a word. They ask her name. At that point, it's like that you have to speak because they're asking you directly for something. Say hi to Kitten. This is who's making all that noise. I'm trying to film. Anyways, lost my train of thought. So, boom. Drama ensues, drama ensues, drama ensues, drama ensues. Okay. Next major plot point is Emily gets an opportunity to get to her phone. So, at some point, the 2 boys, the 2 little friends, they're in the pool, and Emily and the main guy, Jake, they're outside of the pool. Jake has his eyes closed. He has a towel covering his face. So at this moment, she has an opportunity to reach under her seat where her phone is and send a text off really quickly. So the first thing she does is she turns the ringer off, and then she texts Jade, her best friend, call 911, kidnapped, send help. And Jade has her location. She knows where she is anyway. But she sends that text off, and she's like, whew, we're good. We have backup coming. Okay, we have backup coming. So she puts her phone away before, you know, Jake puts his head up, or the other 2 boys in the pool, they look up and see what she's doing. chapter 4, this is the last chapter of part 1, the pool. And this is also going to be the last time that we're at the pool, because at this point Emily actually manages to escape by the end of this chapter. So this is called chapter 4, Warm Rain. And I named it Warm Rain because at this moment, obviously it's summertime. I've established that in like chapter 1. It does start to rain. The first sentence is it had started to drizzle. So we have like obviously the actual rain, but the warm rain in the chapter title is also supposed to be kind of like a bittersweet sort of feeling, because when it's raining, you're thinking like gloomy, sadness, wintertime depression, all these things. But also warm. Warm is obviously a warm feeling. So warm rain is sort of supposed to be like that bittersweet, you know, something's happening that's not so good, but it's also not so bad. It's kind of nice. At this point, it's like tensions are high between the boys because Emily is just manipulating them. She's kind of like saying things to get in their head. She's showing favoritism to Jake. She's asking risky questions, and she's also been paying attention. She's been listening to all of their conversations. You know what I mean? So she knows exactly what to say and how to push their buttons just by observing them. So she's been doing all this. Tensions are extremely high. So she manages to actually get not only information about how to get them to hurt each other, but also about things they've done to other victims. So she's like learning all of this, and she's getting a little bit more scared and more scared, hesitating, doubting herself, but at the same time like knowing this is my only option, is I have to like make a risk and make a big move. Again, she gets beat up by one of the characters, and then right after she gets beat up again is when she kind of like says something, creates this really big brawl pretty much between the 3 boys. In that moment when she's having the brawl, she's next to her seat where her phone is, so she's able to grab her phone, and she's pretty much dressed at this point. Like she wasn't just like hanging around naked over there, so she has her clothes on. She just grabs her phone really quickly and she makes a run for it. And that is when she sees why nobody has came into the pool, is because these boys had padlocked the doors and put signs up saying that the pool was closed that day, which it obviously wasn't. But anyways, a little tiny detail. She's yelling at her phone to call Jade, her best friend. She keeps saying, call Jade to her phone. It keeps going to voicemail. She finally answers, and she's like, please unlock the door, please unlock the door. And that is the end of that is the end of part 1, the pool. Let's just go back and kind of analyze like what we just read. Okay, we kind of went over the storyline. Let's talk about what we read, because there's a few things that I want to touch on. Obviously, there's something going on with this pink tree here. Okay, in chapter 1, we see a pink tree. Emily even sits down and meditates with the pink tree for a few minutes. So what does the pink tree actually represent? Because obviously it's important to the story. I don't want to give out any spoilers, and I'm going to try not to. But I want you guys to know that the pink tree is supposed to be a symbol or a representation or personification, even, if you will. No, not a personification. It's symbolism. The tree symbolizes hope, freedom. It represents Emily having gratitude and positivity, and just everything good in her life is just being represented by this pink tree. And this becomes really, really apparent, I would say, in the very last part. At the end of part 2 or beginning of part 3, there is a new character that's introduced, and the only reason Emily, the protagonist, she knows that she can trust him is because of this symbol. So we'll get into that a little bit later, maybe in another follow-up video. If you guys like this one, I can do a part 2, talk about part 2 of the story, and maybe even dive a little bit deeper into like the character development and things like that, because obviously with a part 1 or act 1 of a story, you can only get so deep. Like the characters have only been developed so much. There's only so much plot thickening. You know, the plot is just being established. So I couldn't really analyze too much in part 1. But again, I'll be happy to do a part 2 of this video. Maybe even a part 3. I don't know. I don't really want to spoil the ending. I want you guys to actually read. Pick up a book and read. Sorry, not to be condescending. I think it's a good story. It has really good reviews, so I'll really recommend it. But anyways, yeah. This corset is also from Santina, from Sinclair's Avenue. Shout out to Santina. Shout out Sinclair's Avenue. Go check them out on Instagram. Use code PIMP to get a little discount surprise or whatever at checkout. It's going to be a surprise. I don't really know what it is myself. Shh. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. I'm supposed to know. I just say surprise at checkout so that you can have a little surprise at checkout, okay? Go figure it out and let me know. Thank you. Other than that, you guys can find all my social medias and stuff in the link in my bio. I do go live on TikTok almost every single day. I've been taking a little bit of a break so I could get my energy back and stuff and give you guys a really good live experience. But yes, I will be back this week right after I finish editing and posting this video. So if you guys want to see more of me, check me out. I do have other social medias as well. And this is my girl Spooky here. She really does not like when I pick her up that much. She doesn't hate it, but it's not her favorite. Like, she won't scratch and like try to get away or anything, but like as soon as I put her down, she's ready to go. But anyways, guys, thank you so much if you watched this video all the way to the end. Okay, I love you so much. Bye.